Welcome to UC News, ucnewscanada.ca. The Canadian Crisis Response. I'm Dr. Dave. Internal City Hall documents reveal a deeply disturbed mayor and council willing to destroy all of society for money and power, actually taking pleasure in the abuse of others, and actively involved in creating deplorable conditions for Quinte residents. The documents reveal the state of mind of the mayor and council, fully committed to fraud and theft, deeply involved in criminal negligence of duty, and intent on overthrowing the legal system. The criminal code violations are quite extensive, as are the violations of the Crimes Against Humanity Act, as significant human rights violations and threats to life, liberty, and security of the person. When City Hall has policies and takes actions specifically aimed at attacking the most vulnerable members of society, intending to cripple the lives of citizens, attacking the core of our lives and economy, and not limited to creating the conditions of negligent manslaughter, we understand these as hate crimes. The legal term for negligence of duty, the refusal to represent or do the work required by the duties of office, is contempt. The clear intent is to own and control everything, operating outside the law and against the justice system, by systematically opposing each and every principle of foundational justice. This is criminal intent, evident at all scales and throughout all the documents and bylaws created by this mayor and council. The mayor and council have worked full-time creating systems of injustice, in fraud, spending millions to maintain a public face while working behind the scenes against the law and against the justice system, in an attempt to locally overthrow the Canadian government, replace it with the working mechanisms of an authoritarian state, and undermine the stability of our lives and country. Canadians understand this as hate, the actions of government against them, but in truth, this is a handful of people working against the law. The legal term and the personality disorder is called contempt. It expresses itself as deep disdain for the principles of justice, directly coupled to disregard for law. At the root of the issue, which is a mental health issue in which the abuser takes pleasure in removing the rights of others and inflicting suffering, is the legal principle called access. In the unfair and abusive exertion of power, the purposeful and highly personal exhibition of malice, the intent to disempower and harm, is expressed by denial of access. The abuser accuses you of a crime, saying you have broken the law, but they refuse to show you the law they claim you have broken. You are accused and found guilty, but you don't know what you've done. You can't defend yourself because you are not allowed to see the basis of the law and the charges against you. This is how the mayor and council strike at the law, the justice system, and exhibit hatred and contempt for our legal structure of Canadian democracy. The mayor then taunts citizens, saying, if you want justice, get a lawyer. Everything is a joke, the trivial and shallow affect being a defining characteristic of psychopathy, in addition to pathological lying, which in criminal code terms is the definition of an unreliable person and the basis of theft, committed by extortion and fraud, the abuse of power. The mayor and council are fully intent on violating your fundamental rights to justice, and they have no interest whatsoever in matters of justice or even recognizing City Hall as a judicial body. Quinte residents know full well that City Hall is not a source of justice. Access as your constitutional right to justice in a lawful country is the Section 7 right to know the exact nature of the charges against you. It is the right to presumed innocence, and we are well aware that Quinte residents have done nothing wrong. The Mayor and Council have. Your crime is obeying Canada's top laws aimed at maintaining the integrity of society by recognizing equality under the law. Canadians must also know that this tactic of accusing people of a crime and predefining guilt is also a war crime, with abuses of life, law, and justice that outrage the conscience. Access. You don't know what you've done wrong, and the basis of the charges against you is withheld. The Mayor and Council have also set up secret hearings in which you will be surrounded by representatives of City Hall, a serious Section 11D violation of your fundamental rights to justice and also a war crime. It is here, in the setting up of illegal kangaroo courts, that the criminal intent of the Mayor and Council to overthrow the justice system is in full force and evident beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt. These are not accusations. This is what they have done. Access has an exact legal definition distinguishing between what is public and private. One allows access, the other does not. Access directly bears on what you are allowed to do or not allowed. This is the right to make decisions based on the practices and principles of justice, with a firm basis in fact, evidence, and reason. It is further the right of ownership, what belongs to you and what does not. And the Mayor and Council have been very clear. Everything belongs to them and is for their benefit alone. Working in direct collusion with bankers, the Mayor and Council say that everything public belongs to them and is private, that the sole purpose of government is profit alone, unlimited, and without regard for life and law. Citizens say no. This is fraud and sedition. The bylaws belong to us. They are public, not private. This is not law. A small gang of thugs, thieves, and crooks with serious mental health issues of incompetence and criminal tendencies has seized control within City Hall, working against the law and the purposes of government. Seeking money and power beyond limit, they have with intent purposely rejected our justice system and overthrown our legal democratic government for the purposes of major, serious, and ongoing criminal code violations, beginning with theft, the removal of material and moral benefit for unlawful and illegal gain, using fraud as the main tool of deception. The law is clear and the evidence is clear. These are major criminal code violations requiring significant sentencing with minimal prison terms. This is not government. These are individuals who absolutely loathe, despise, and detest the very idea of democratic government, in which the lives, values, and rights of others to make fundamental decisions concerning how they wish to live is completely and utterly rejected in the pursuit of this Mayor and Council for unimpeded ultimate power and control. Under Section 1 of our Canadian Constitution Act, we have the right and power to not have our lives run and ruled by the mentally ill, lacking basic skills of competence and just decision-making.